Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to do this simple granny shell infinity cowl. I'm using the Mandala Lion brand. It is a size 3 medium weight. I love anything Lion brand, especially the Mandala. Those color changes are fantastic. I am also using a 6.5 millimeter crochet hook. I wanted a bigger shells, bigger stitch for this cowl, but you can use any size yarn, any size weight yarn, and any size crochet hook that you like. You'll also need scissors and of course a yarn needle to weave in your ends, and I'm going to show you how to make this really easy, fun granny shell infinity cowl. To start, you're going to need a chain multiple of 3 plus 4. So start with a slip knot on your hook, and then start chaining in multiples of 3. So I usually chain 3, 3, 3, 3 until I get the width that I want, and then I will count them up if I haven't been keeping good count and add an extra 4 to that end chain. So keep chaining until you get your multiple of 3 and then add an extra 4 chains. So I have chained 36, which is my multiple of 3, and now I'm going to add an extra 4 chains. So I have a total of 40 chains for my foundation chain row. To start row 1, we are going to work back into the 7th chain from the hook, and don't count the loop that is on your hook. We count back starting with that chain. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Into that 7th chain from hook, we are going to put 3 double crochets. So there's your 7 chains that you worked away from, and in that 7th chain from the hook we put 3 double crochets, which counts as a granny shell. We're going to skip 2 chains along the bottom, and into the 3rd we are going to work another granny shell. So skip 2, and into that next one work 3 double crochets. Now we've got our one shell here. We skipped 2 on the bottom, and into the next we worked another 3 granny shell, or another 3 double crochets, which is a granny shell. Skip 2. Into the next we are going to do another granny shell, which is 3 double crochets. And you're going to work along like this until you get to the last 3 chains on your foundation chain row. Alright, so I have worked my shells along the foundation chain. I have 3 chains left here. We're going to skip 2, and I'm going to put a double crochet into that last chain. So now we've got a little space right here. Row 2, we're going to chain 3, turn our work, and work back across, working into these spaces in between our shells. And we're going to put shells into them. So this chain 3 counts as a double crochet. We're going to put 2 more double crochets into that first space. So now we have a shell sitting on top of a space. We're going to skip over to the next space and work 3 double crochets into that space. Skip this shell, find the next space, and work 3 double crochets into that space. And you're going to do this all the way across, working your 3 shells, 3 double crochets, which is a shell, into each space. When you get to the end, you're going to put 3 double crochets into this space to finish the row. So I'm back here. Here's my last little space. I'm going to work my 3 double crochets right into it. And that is the end of row 2. Every row starts with a chain 3 and turn. We're going to work into this space here. Since we have a shell ending on this previous row, we only want to work into these spaces. So 3 double crochets into that space. And this will create our space for when we're working back. We will work into this space on the next row. So just work along, 3 double crochets into each space. Alright, so I just finished putting my 3 double crochets into the last space. Since the previous row ended on a shell, we want to put in a double crochet into the top of the chain 3 that we did to start that row, and just work a double crochet, and that will create the space that we need above this shell. So basically the pattern is to work a granny shell, which is 3 double crochets, into each space. When you get to the end of a row, if there is a space here, you want to work a shell into it, which is 3 double crochets. if you get to the end of the row, like we did over here, and we were on top of a shell, you just want to work a double crochet into the top of the chain 3 that you did. So that first double crochet, what would be the double crochet, that first double crochet of that shell. You chain 3 to start every row, turn. We've got a space here. This counts as a double crochet, your chain 3. So we just need to put 2 more double crochets into that first chain space. Let's try that again. Chain 3, 2 double crochets into that first space. We've got our 3 double crochets, which is a shell. Skip over to the next, and we'll work our 3 double crochets into that space, and so on and so on. This is a great pattern to work if you just want something that you don't have to think about. You don't have to really count your stitches. You're just looking to work into those spaces. And using self-striping yarn really makes this pop, because you don't have to worry about changing colors and then weaving in your ends. You get that automatic color change throughout the project. So I'm going to keep working on this scarf. I'm going to use this entire ball, and then I will show you how to finish the project. So I have worked many rows. This is all that I have left from the ball of yarn that I was using, and it's just gorgeous. Just look at the color changes. And that simple granny shell stitch, well, it's a simple stitch, it just makes this look really cool. So right now this is about 56 inches long. To turn it into a cowl, you can either match up both ends, so literally just fold your fabric in half and match up the ends and slip stitch, and I'll show you how to do that. Or if you want sort of a twisty cowl, you'll take your one corner and completely flip it, so you'll have this twist in the center. So really you want opposite corners matching up with each other, and then you can slip stitch. So what I like to do is try it one way, maybe put some safety pins or something in the top where you're going to seam it up, and try it on and see how you like it, if you like the little twist, or if you want just corner to corner, fold it in half, no twist. Either way, personal preference, either way looks good. I'm going to go ahead and twist my work like I've done, and then I will show you how to seam up this side. Alright, so I've turned my work a little bit. Here is the end over here, this bottom right side, where I just finished my last row. There's my working yarn. On top is the bottom of the cowl or the scarf, the long piece of fabric. I folded it in half and twisted it. So now this was the bottom left side. I am now matching it up with the top right side. And what I find helpful is to match these up and put in safety pins or something to keep the fabric together, so you don't end up, you know, you get down to the end and you've got one side longer than the other. Your cast on edge, which is this top one for me, is going to be a little bit tighter because usually the foundation rows are a little tighter because they're just chains, and by this point we've really loosened up our tension and the stitches were just flying off our hook, so it's much more relaxed. So I've got my piece of fabric that I was just working on the bottom, and I am going to match up those first holes. And you can go directly in the stitches if you want. I am going to, when I reach a space, I'm going to chain one just to kind of give myself some room, and I'm going to go directly in to that first space, pick up the back fabric and put my hook through that space as well, pull up a loop and pull it through everything, and that's a slip stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch all the way across. You can put as many slip stitches as you want in your work. I am just going to work one slip stitch into each space, matching them up, and in those 3 double crochets I'm going to work into the middle stitch, and on the back it will be the space that it kind of was created when you worked your 3 double crochets into the foundation chains. So I'm going to put my hook right into there, pull back through everything and work loosely. You don't want them too tight. I'm at another space here, so I'm going to work into both pieces, pull up a loop and pull it through the loop on my hook. We're at another 3 double crochet, work right into the middle stitch of that and work into that space from our foundation chain, and just work like that all the way across and see how you like the look of that sort of loose join. Like I said, you can put in more slip stitches if you feel like it's not tight enough for you. The thing I love about crochet and knitting, it's so flexible. So you can always, and especially with something like this, you can just take out the slip stitches, start working more. You can work more and then take them out. So it's really easy and really flexible, and if you give this as a gift or even if you wear it yourself, nobody's going to notice. This is just the seamed edge. Nobody will notice except you. I'm at another space here. I'm going to put my hook in, find the back fabric, and make sure I'm working into that space from my 3 double crochets to start the work. Draw up a loop and pull it through everything. So keep working this all the way across. Like I said, sometimes it's helpful to make sure to put in like safety pins or even stitch markers to hold your fabric together, even just halfway, so you know if you're on track or not, and then you won't be short a few stitches at the end, like wind up like this and you say, oh great, I've got this extra piece, what do I do? It does help to put in those stitch markers. So I'm going to finish up the seam and then we'll see how it looks. Alright, so I finished up my seam. There's where I ended. There's where we started our seam. Let's flip it inside out. And that's what it looks like on the other side. So it fits, if you just slip stitch for that seam, it almost, especially if the colors match up, you really can't tell, because this is such an open pattern. It's not lacy, but it does have those spaces, and so your slip stitch seam, it almost looks like it's just part of the work. And I just love this colorway. I love how it turned out. So with the 40 foundation row chains and working almost the entire ball of yarn, this is all I have left. I probably could have gotten a couple more rows in, but I didn't want to play yarn chicken. So with 40 chain foundation and using the whole ball of yarn, just about, this was 11 inches across, and the entire thing from one end to the other before I seamed it up was 56 inches. This one that I made previously, same type of yarn, the Mandala from Lion Brand, just a different colorway. And again, you can see how this stitch really highlights those color changes. And I worked it the same way. I just worked the entire ball of yarn. This one is about 12 inches wide, and working almost the entire ball of yarn, it was 47 inches long. So if you work more, if you have more foundation chains in your first row, which again has to be a multiple of 3 plus 4, you will have a shorter length. So depending on how much yarn you have available, just keep that in mind. And I don't know what the colorways of these two are. I don't have the label with me. I love any Lion Brand Mandala. Those colorways, they get me every time in the store. I'll come home with more yarn than I need, probably. So I hope you guys like this video. Again, super simple stitch makes a beautiful cowl. It's super warm. You can put it around your neck once, depending on the length. Twist it up again, so you've got kind of the wrap look. It just looks really, really nice. And it's warm too. Very warm. Hope you guys like this video. Please be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. And thanks so much for watching. Happy New Year. Bye.